Alright, this was a little clip that I almost threw away because I didn't even notice it. But if you notice the little um, thing on the left of the screen, to the left of the rocks, you'll see it's a man standing on a boat, and I slowed this way down so you can actually see him. He's going to throw a net here shortly. So you keep an eye on that guy right there, and in the background you actually see somebody else that's standing in this boat with him. You don't see the boat, and that is due to diffraction or refraction. I think it's more like the light being deflected upward to where you can't see that boat. It's like miraging on the land that causes things to disappear, like a car going down inside of a pool of water that's not there. You lose the car, and then it will emerge on the other side of it. But I thought that was a little interesting clip, and the video was only for a couple of seconds, and I didn't even notice this guy in the video. Otherwise, I would have zoomed back in on him and not these stupid rocks. So I thought it was pretty funny when I actually looked at it and said, wow, that was a guy throwing a net. Now, one of the things that I did notice was when I had my compensation exposure lighting turned down on it, yeah, it did make a little darker of a picture, but it kind of stops some of the mirroring effect, the miraging effect, you know, the distortion. It stops some of that. So, you know, in the future, what I'll try to do is you know, turn down that light exposure a little bit, especially here in Florida. We get beamed by that sun, especially when you're out over the water. You know, the water reflects the sun right back in your face. You can wear a hat all day long and your face still gets sunburned if you're out fishing on the water. And that's one thing that I do, is I do an awful lot of fishing. And as I zoom around here, you know, I see these other fish, but or other fish, these other rocks. And as I zoom in on them, you know, you also see that distortion, that mirroring effect, that miraging effect. But, you know, what's really cool is you can see this edge of the water where it turns into that mirror. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That mirror can deflect things even further away. It actually can deflect. Now, these rocks are closer to me than that boat was with the two guys in it, and with the one guy throwing the net. I'm going to be taking little parts and pieces from a bunch of these videos, and I'm going to use my zoom tool on them and try to bring them in a little closer on a recap video after I show all my videos from this particular day. Also, too, what I'd like you to do is also look at the clouds. You know, as I zoom in, you know, you'll see or as I'm zoomed back, you'll see this, you know, little sliver of black area just underneath all these clouds. And as I zoom in, those, you know, that black area gets wider. Why? Because those clouds that are right out there are just as high as the clouds that are above me. And that's what I try to, you know, reiterate, that, you know, these areas here that you're looking out on a long distance, they don't seem to be, you know, it just seems to be this little sliver. But of course, as I zoom in, this little sliver becomes a bigger gap. Okay, so as I zoom out now, you know, you can just see the tops of those, and as I zoom in the rest of the way, and there was another little fish that flickered there. And that didn't even look like a mullet. That looked like what we call a needlefish. We got all kinds of little fish that jump out of the water here. But this is a line of rock here where I usually videotape boats from Bayport coming off of. If you watch some of my other videos of boats from Bayport, this is where I catch those shrimp boats coming out of. A lot of the shrimp boats come out of this channel. And, I'm always out here trying to get some really good video of boats out on the water and then try to explain what's going on with them. Now, as I'm zooming around here, I'm trying to show you this island, this edge, the water out in front of it. And this area right here during the summer, a lot of people will come into this back side of this channel. There's a big bay, and they do a lot of boating there. A lot of party boats go there, pontoon boats, and they all go out there and have a good time. Kids float around on their inner tubes, and all the people are out there barbecuing on their boats, having picnics and probably drinking beer and having a good time. But it's really a family orientated little boating area. The Redneck Yacht Club. And one day I'll go out here and get on this island and videotape them. Now, as you look out here, I can zoom in on this channel marker and actually show you where that water line is. But, stuff that is further out, it gets hard to distinguish because of the depth perception of where the actual water line is. But, you can clearly see this sign. And some of my video, I wish I would have just kept it on autofocus because I put on manual focus. And because of the light hitting my viewing screen, I really could not tell when I was in focus or not. And instead of me cutting these parts out of my videos, I'm going to go ahead and probably just show them. So you can kind of see my mistake that I made using a manual adjustment. And it really wasn't a mistake because I think the manual adjustment is or manual focus is a really good tool to use, especially when you're out zooming out long distances. But the other thing is to maybe put a light deflector or something over your viewing screen so the light from above you isn't, blinding you out from seeing what you're actually viewing. There were several things that I didn't even see on my camera as I was doing these videos. So I didn't focus on them. And then the things I did see and I tried to focus on, I really couldn't see very well to see if I was on a good focus. It's not like at night, when you're at night, you can really easily see your screen because, of course, it's got light in it. I had my tripod up on a little bit of a rock hill. So I'm going to assume it was like 3 feet above the water. So at that point, my tripod was about, I'm going to say 8 feet high. Because these rock islands, the ones further out there, and even this one, I could have got on higher ground, but I would have had to go underneath the trees where all the birds poop on you. There's pelicans and cranes and all kinds of birds up in those trees, and believe me, they poop all over those trees. Sometimes the ground or the whole trees are white from bird poop. So I try not to get underneath them. But I'm going to show like a 360 or 160 degree view, but I do kind of a 360 in here too to kind of show you. I don't know if it's going to be in this video, but I do kind of show a 360 degrees so you can kind of visualize where I'm at. This is a long chain of islands that I'm sure that a lot of the rocks that are on these islands are what they dredged up to make these channels. And I'm going to move my tripod down along the edge of the water, and my tripod up to the lens, from the ground to the lens, is about 5.5 feet. And this is going to be really close to where I'm going to put my tripod and my camera. It was right at the water's edge to give you the best shot I can at a low area. All right, so let's see what happens in this next part. Okay, just so you see where I'm putting my tripod here. It's right down on the water's edge here. So, I'm going to put my camera up here and mount it. You guys can definitely see where I'm at. There's an airboat going by. Hey, airboat, got another one. Awful loud. Awful loud. Common because they came from Hernando Beach, or Hudson Beach, excuse me. So, now, I guess what I'll do is I'm gonna point this thing back toward the north, and I'm gonna be aiming it toward where Bayport is, and I'm going to zoom in. Let's see here. Okay. I might have to put it on manual focus again. Yeah, these airboats are awful loud, and you know, that's I cut the audio out of this because it was just too loud. Them airboats just, they'll blow your eardrums out. They wear earmuffs, but they don't think about everybody else. Now, right here, where you see these palm trees at in the background, that's Bayport right there, and I'm usually standing right out in the front of those palm trees because there's a little area right there. When the tide ain't too high, you can get in there. There's a little park right in there. You can get in there and stand on that edge and videotape. And you do have to stand right at the water's edge to videotape there. Now, you'll see how the water is mirroring all these palm trees. And, you know, that's one thing, too, I like to show people is how that mirror effect works. Because this is where part of your lower end gets kind of cut off with this mirroring. Like I say, this is like the house of mirrors. And you get all this miraging effect. The birds fly by, you see them mirroring off the water. It's not their shadow, it's actually their mirror image. And you know, you can see sticks in the water. You can even see the water moving, the current of the water moving. And these are the things that I take in, and you know, I view them, and I also look at the, like this marker right here. You can see its reflection in the water, but it isn't as long. Why is that? Why isn't it as long? Because that's due to that mirroring. And that mirroring, like I say, the farther an object gets away or goes from the camera, you get to see less of the lower end because of its diffraction. Let's face it, it has to do with some kind of diffraction where the light is deflecting me up higher to where I'm not actually getting, getting the lower end. And later on here, I'm going to show you with a couple other videos what I mean by that. Well, even some in this particular video, I'm going to slow a few things down, and I actually should be slowing this down, but it would really make my video real long. And you know, observations are boring, but observations are very good because we can see what's actually going on instead of just brushing it off as, oh, that's just a mirage, you're not seeing that, that's an illusion. Or or don't believe your eyes. You know, that's a good one when you look at the definition of mirage. Um, no, there's a reason for all of this stuff occurring. And in my previous video, I mentioned many different things, and all of that contribute to the issue. You know, no matter what a scientist is going to tell me, they can't tell me what I'm seeing in this video. I am my own judge, and I know what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing stuff being deflected. Um, and that's where this miraging, the house of mirrors, everything plays a role in this. The humidity, the evaporation rate, it causes, how should I say, like a ramp of water that builds up the further away my camera gets, that causes me to lose the lower ends of particular items. Like right here, I'm catching everything above, everything that's high, I catch it with my camera because the lower end is causing this deflection. Now these rocks are much closer, but what I like about this right here, and hang on, I'm going to slow this down a little bit. Well, no, I don't have to, but you can see the bird sitting out there on it. Now, what's going to come up is going to kind of blow your mind a little bit here, and I slowed this down so you can see better. All right, I slowed this little clip right here down quite a bit because, you know, when I first saw it on my viewing screen on my camera, I thought it was a couple of boats sitting out there. But actually what it is one boat sitting out there and two guys standing on the boat fishing. I mean, you can see their fishing poles. These guys ain't standing in the water out in the middle of the Gulf. I don't care if it's low tide or not. I've never seen anybody go walking out there standing and fishing, standing in the water. We don't wade fish around here too much. Maybe if you're standing right on the shore, but these guys ain't right on the shore. And you know, you say, well, where's the boat? Where's the boat? This is the diffraction. This is the area right here that actually shows you how this diffraction works. It's a deflection. The light is being deflected up, so I'm getting half of these guys' body. I'm getting the top end of their bodies. And you know, later on, I even got some other video that will actually show you how this actually works. And I really like doing this because it really brings up a lot of questions for people to, when you look at, you know, you see this water right here, but you also see this gap between this light blue line and above it. I could draw pictures on it, put lines on it, but what I want you to do is just see it with your own eyes. It makes more sense that, you know, you see these things moving around in there, but this is your depth perception. These guys are a lot further away than they appear, and their boat is actually disappeared. Now, it's not over the edge of the curve. It didn't go over the curve. And, you know, somebody's going to say, oh, yeah, it did. It went over the curve, and you're only seeing them. Well, man, boy, am I a lucky guy, because I got a bunch of them that show this right here. I mean, a bunch of them that show things disappearing, and one of them's even closer. So, and it literally does show you how things will disappear in this invisible zone. And that's where this diffraction of the light, it's bending upward, so it causes this boat to disappear that they're standing in. And you know, it's hard to imagine this occurring, but you got to think about this water. The further away from a camera that's in the air, this evaporated water is causing this ramped up, it's causing like a ramp, and that ramp is deflecting the light from me seeing that boat. Now, you can do a lot of experiments on this, and that's one of the things that I do intend to do, is try to do an experiment with some mirrors. The problem is finding, you know, mirrors at a cheap rate. You know, I look in Goodwill and Salvation Army and stuff like that, but I can't seem to find any just plain old mirrors. So, you know, I might go to a mirror shop and see if they've got some old mirrors that they pulled out that they're willing to depart with cheaply. But again, you can see these two guys fishing with their fishing poles. You can see the water current moving. You can see, things that look like they're floating in the water. But what I think that is just the water current itself. It may be little fish swimming around, waking up the water. But I see this in several of my videos, and this is a good point, and good things to show. This is great observation, because you do have to ask yourself, where is this at? Look, I can see the water, I can see everything, but where's these guys' boats at? Where's it at? Again, like, getting real low to the water, I am compressing it. It's like getting low to a board and looking at the top surface of the board. The lower I get, the skinnier that sliver gets, and this is where that diffraction occurs. Look at my fish tank experiment. That kind of does give you a little hint on why things do disappear, but it doesn't give you the full hint, because I should have done something else too with that experiment, and I will try maybe later on to do this. All right, now keep an eye out. I'm going to let it go back to full speed, and then I'm going to slow it down again on another spot. I mean, you can obviously see some of the stuff that's farther back there sticks up, and like I said, I just catch the tip top of it. The farther back these things are, because of that diffraction, refraction, angular resolution. I just cannot, my camera cannot pick up the stuff that's below, because of that evaporation rate. The evaporated water, the water molecules in the air. When you look through a glass fish tank, that things are distorted, and there's some things that you can't even see. And I showed you that with my hand going behind the fish tank in one of my experiments too. So again, these are some of the things. Now, you'll see that these rocks are a lot closer to me than the rocks that are farther out there. And it's pretty obvious, because you can actually see the water. And look at this bird right there that I just passed. There's a bunch of stuff here I passed that I should have took a little more time on, because I'm not even sure what they are, but it gives you a kind of a perspective of what you're actually seeing out there. And again, I have to delete some of the audio in this, only because I was trying to explain it as I was watching it, and it isn't exactly what we see. Because I'm looking at this little 4-inch screen, but once I get it on my computer and look at it, I can obviously see what's closer and what's farther away. Okay, and you'll see this water line right here, and here's where I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to slow it down here, because I seen something in this part that was pretty neat too. If you look to the right of this channel marker, you'll see like a little shadow, a few inches from the edge of it, almost in the middle of the screen, just left to the middle of the screen. You see a shadow, but you'll also start seeing some lights flash. And that is a tower way in the background. And what's really weird is you do see this shadow, and you'll see those lights flash. There they go. So, this is why you can't see none. All this humidity in the way. But for some reason, my camera was picking up that, which was pretty interesting, because you see the light flash at the top and at the bottom. Why? Because it is being mirrored. And these rocks that are to the right of the screen are much closer than that particular shadow. And these are the things I love to observe. I mean, when you really start looking at things, they're not what science says they are. And we just believe them because we're kind of forced to. And I don't know how to explain it, but we get put in school, we get educated, whatnot. But are we truly getting educated with truth? Or are we getting educated with their theories of what we're supposed to be seeing? what they tell us that we're seeing, not what you think you're seeing. So again, think for yourself, be a critical thinker, and kind of start questioning what you have been taught. That's what I try to tell people. Question what you have been taught, because even these lights, you know, you see them flashing sometimes at the top and not at the bottom, or sometimes at the bottom and not at the top. But why is that? Because the water is disturbing the flashing. The mirroring effect is disturbing the flashing. And then that's why you're not seeing it sometimes. Okay? And you can obviously see that those rocks are much closer to me. And if you watch even some of the birds in the background, they'll kind of disappear when they get to a certain part low into the water, at the edge of the water. All right? So we're going to let it go back to me talking here. And it's going to be just a short talk, and then I'm going to slow it down again on another part. Some more islands. Now I know where I'm at here. Some more islands. And I believe this is actually land that you're just seeing the higher points of the land further out there. I mean, there are islands up in Citrus. It'd probably be hard to even show this on a map. Yeah, now right in here, of course, you see the little white dot in the back. That's probably a boat way back there. Watch some of my boat videos and you can see them go to this point where they're just a little dot. Or it could be a bird, you know, sitting in the water out there. I'm not saying positively that it's a boat, but I see boats shaped like that on some of my videos. Now, look at this water right here. I mean, you can see that these rocks are close. And this sign is right behind the rocks because there's signs out here. There's a couple of them that, you know, say line of rock or look, rock, danger, submerged rocks. That's usually what they say. Look, rocks, and then danger, and then submerged rocks. They put those signs up in a lot of places, but you'll see PVC pipes sticking up in some places where some of these airboat guys go along and they'll mark these rocks with PVC pipe that are just barely underneath the water so they don't hit them. Now I'm kind of going over the tops of these rocks. I like to keep right at the edge of them, and you'll see a few other things in the background, and those are those pipes, like I say, PVC pipes that stick up back there. Now this is a tripod or tripod marker, channel marker that is on a curve. It's on a bend out there in the channel, and I videotaped this from Bayport also. But it's hard to distinguish right where the water line is due to this mirroring effect. And again, you know, as I zoom out here, I catch these towers from the nuclear power plant up in Crystal River. Now, right here, what's really interesting is how this diffraction is keeping me from seeing the lower part. And if you look at where that water line is, the light blue water line, this is that ramped up area. And again, here's where I actually had it focused pretty good. And then I get it out of focus, which dumb me. But I come back to this area here too and videotape it some more. But you see, you can obviously see where this big light blue line of water is. And just above that, you know, you see these towers, and then you see the smokestack. But you see where the smoke is being reflected just so far. It's not being reflected all the way across that. For some reason, I don't know why. It's probably maybe optical. But right in that area between that light blue line and the top of those towers is the vanishing point. You don't see nothing there. Now, you do see the smoke being reflected off of it, but that's not water out there that's actually laying in the ocean. That's water that's in the air that's causing this ramped up. It's causing like a ramp, and it's deflecting the light rays off that bottom edge to where you cannot see nothing. And again, I do have a vanishing point to my camera also, and that is that invisible zone that you cannot see nothing lower there. And people will tell you, well, that's because it's under the other side of the curvature of Earth. No, it's not. Look at the video. This video really shows a lot. And that's what I want to do. And there's going to be more to this video. I'm going to definitely put some more video out and show you how, this area right here that you're looking at is actually being ramped up. It does ramp it up. And all that water that you see that's in light blue is not really water. It's more water molecules built up in the air to create this illusion that this water line is going that high up. The water line isn't. And that's the whole purpose of my observations, is to really observe and try to calculate, what is going on in these videos and why the bottom lower ends of these towers are not being shown. Again, it's that deflection, that diffraction, that bending of light. Now see where that boat just went by? It's down much lower, more toward that harder water appearance. So everything above that is slowly being ramped up. It's like a slow ramp, ramping up to those towers. And everything below it, I might catch the treetops at the edge of that blue line, but nothing back behind it. Okay, so hopefully you can understand that, and you can picture that in your mind, how all that evaporated water molecules are being ramped up just above that blue water line. Okay, now I've got more video that goes with this, and I'm going to show and kind of maybe be able to prove that vanishing point or that invisible zone in some later videos. So again, I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I hope my explanations are pretty good, and I hope you do understand what I'm trying to explain here. All right? I'm going to end this video and start a new one. Thanks for watching.